destined to become indulged into the greatest podcast in existence. You have now been given access to excellence with the greatest opinion on all things culture. Like, follow, and subscribe to the Unprofessional Critics podcast. God listens to our podcast, so should you. You're welcome.
Oh my God.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Unprofessional Critics. I am your man, Professor X, and I'm here with Davo. Yes, and we have got a wonderful show for you guys this afternoon. Like, listen, subscribe, share, and let's beam into your brain, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Davo, what we got?
You know what it is. Stephen A., Chalamet, have it your way. Patience is sick.
Man, let's go ahead and hop right into it. You see it. You see what's going on. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
What the hell?
Let's talk about
it.
So, New York, they just got sent home. Let's talk about it. Indiana Pacers versus New York Knicks, man. A classic rivalry. Just finished up. But, hey, Pacers in 6. Let's talk about it, man.
I'm going to keep it a bill. Last time, me and JMC sat down and talked about it. I was bold in my predictions about the Pacers getting kneecapped. I did. I was like, they're done. They're cooked. But I must say, I had me a real nice slice of humble pie last night as I watched these guys go on ahead and pack up the Knicks. And it was unexpected, but it was crazy. I will say this, from the front, it was unexpected. But as these two teams kept doing their thing, you realize that these two teams are very, very similar. And I think that the only thing that really pushed the Pacers forward in this space was depth, which I think is the word of the year for the 2025 season period, because not only do the Pacers have fantastic depth, but so do the Thunder. And both of these teams won out.
Yeah, man. Pacers got a lot of depth, man. They got a lot of contributors, man. But at the end of the day, like, depth is important. But if they didn't have Tyrese Halliburton and if they didn't have Pascal Siakam, they wouldn't be where they are right now. They wouldn't be in the NBA Finals.
So there is a video. There is a video of Halliburton thinking that he was going to win Eastern Conference. What is that player?
Player of the conference.
Player of the conference.
Something like that.
The guy's announcing it. He pats his chest and walks up. He hears Siakam's name, and you see his face break.
Yeah, you see Ben Mathurin looking at him like, ooh, like what happened? Yeah.
Well, he deserve it. Yeah, did Pascal deserve it?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he was really the anchor for this series versus New York. If it wasn't for Siakam, I just don't know that Indiana would have put out in those games where Halliburton really wasn't pulling his weight. Because don't get me wrong, when Halliburton's on, he's on. Like he's one of the best guards or just really overall players in the league. All of a sudden, out of nowhere.
So there's an argument: is he a superstar?
Man, Stephen A. Smith is a hater. And I really believe, straight up. And I really believe.
By name, we don't care.
Because he's a New York Knicks fan. We get it, blah, blah, blah. So you're biased. Let's just keep it what it is. He's biased. But yes, who if Tyrese Halliburton is not a superstar, then who is?
Oh, well, I think Stephen A. has got a legitimate gripe. I mean, if you look at Halliburton's numbers, they don't necessarily pop off the page for most of the year, even though he does show up for the playoffs.
So that 32 and 14 and whatever triple-double he had, that doesn't pop off the page?
Well, let's keep it a bean. They were out of the playoffs in January.
So we're going back to the regular season.
We're going back to, that's where it starts. You're going back to the regular season. They were out of the playoffs somehow, and we got to give it to Carlisle. Let's give it to Carlisle. I got to do it because he managed to. They looked more like those old 7-second Suns for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I think that mixed with their depth is what really pushed them over the top.
Man, Tyrese Halliburton is better than Steve Nash. I said it.
Wow.
I said it.
Wow.
I said it.
That's a lot.
And I think he just proved that he's better than Jalen Brunson. That's another hot take.
And again, and that is the discrepancy about whether he's superstar or no, because Halliburton doesn't necessarily put up superstar scoring numbers, but he impacts the game in different ways. So is he a superstar guard in the sense of he's giving you 30, 35 a night? No. But is he a star guard in a way that he is able to facilitate and control in the way that other point guards could do it in the past, a la Chris Paul, who was never really big at giving you 30-point games, but he was big at giving you triple doubles and that floor general that just kept the pace that the coach wanted. I would say that part, because I think that Tyrese Halliburton he's just the type of guy that he can take over a game when he needs to, right? And he has that ability, right? You're right. He's not the guy. He's not like a Damian Lillard or a Stephen Curry, where these guys are just going to average, 25 plus points a game. I don't think he has to, right? Especially with the type of team and the type of depth that he has around him. He just doesn't have to right now. But I think he's capable. I don't know, because in the spaces where he really needed to, what is it? Game 5? Game 5 was a dud. You put out 9 points.
And I think that's why Siakam deserved the Eastern Conference, player at the player of the conference or whatever it is. So,
that's fair.
Yeah, man, straight up. Shout out to Pascal Siakam. He's another really
Spicy
good player.
P.
Spicy P.
They call him Spicy P.
Yeah, shout out to him. He's actually, I think he's probably underrated, to be honest. Pascal Siakam's probably underrated.
I can see that. I think the entire Pacer team is underrated, and that's kind of what I was alluding to when we came in, because it was just like nobody had them penciled in. You know what I mean? Like, nobody really had them penciled in as going to the finals. If you told me at the beginning of the year Pacers were going to the finals, I'd be like, can I get it back?
They would.
Can I get it back?
They would have laughed at you for sure. Yeah, no way nobody saw the OKC Indiana finals. Speaking of that, I'm just gonna ask you straight out: who do you got winning the NBA finals?
At the risk of sounding crazy and losing again, I will still say OKC.
So you're doubting Indiana again?
I am.
Why?
Because at the end of the day, even though both teams are crazy deep, I think that when we come to matchups, the finals is about matchups. You got to the finals. You're obviously a good team. But when you get there, it's about how each other match up. It's about the coaching. Rick Carlisle probably has a one-up on him as a championship coach. So there's that. But when you come to the personnel on the floor, it is Shai Gilgeous against Halliburton. It is Chet against Miles. It is Jay Will against a committee, because the Pacers play by committee on the wing.
Yeah, I can see that. And you know what? I'm going to admit, I'm going to say that Indiana is probably the underdog going into this final series.
Yeah, like they're, what is it? I think like they're like plus 600.
Wise? Wow. Again, sound like a little bit of haters going against it a little bit, just a little. Well, I'll say this: I do think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably the best. He's obviously the best player in the series, right? The reigning MVP, and he's probably the best player in the half court set.
Which we'll get to the MVP conversation, because I got a bone with that. I do. Shai had a fantastic season, but I feel like the MVP.
Don't say Jokic. Don't say Nikola Jokic.
Look, and I'm gonna be 100. Fight me if you want to. Nikola Jokic has been the best player in basketball for the past 5 years. The only reason he did not get it this year is simply voters fatigue. That was the same reason.
But you know what? And it's okay because nobody had anything to say when it was voters fatigue against LeBron James when he probably should have won it like 10 years in a row.
Everybody has something to say. I love Derrick Rose. I love his career. I wish he would have had.
I will accept no Derrick Rose slander.
Derrick Rose did not deserve the MVP that year. It is what it is. It was voters fatigue. LeBron was clearly the better player that year, and they was like, "I'm tired of this nigga. I'm tired of this nigga rolling down in the lane and just swinging on everybody and getting all the calls he wants." You know what I'm saying? That was back when nobody calling travel. So
2011 when nobody calling travel.
Oh yeah, that was back when nobody calling travel. At least not on LeBron. So yeah, he could walk and take 15 steps and get to the rim, and nobody gonna say nothing about it. It's just
okay. The 2011 MVP race will probably be an episode in and of itself. But let's get back to the Indiana OKC finals. And
I'm
like I said,
a LeBron fan.
I think that
Let's put that out there.
I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably he's the best player when it comes down to being in a half court set and creating a shot. Right. I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably the best player when it comes to that, which you're gonna have to have in these NBA finals. And I do believe it's going to be a long series. I think that it'll go at least 6 or 7 games.
I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep.
So OKC in 5?
OKC in 5, and for this specific reason. It's all about matchups, and I think that Jay Will is underappreciated. He's going to be playing the 2.
He's an X factor.
Who is guarding him? At the 2, who is guarding him?
Well, I mean, they put Nesmith on Brunson, and I think he held up pretty decent.
But that's Nesmith guarding the 1.
So you just don't think none of these guys can do anything with Jay Will?
Not that they could.
You don't think Mathurin, Nesmith, or Siakam or any of these guys can do anything with Jay Will?
I think Will can get his shot when he wants to. I think the Pacers have to work for it a little bit more, and I think because of that, you give the edge to OKC.
Well, yeah, they're going to have to work in this series a little bit more than they did with New York. I mean, OKC is just an overall better team.
They've got great defense. They have got great ball movement. They trust their personnel, and I think that that's something like, once you get to the finals, you kind of got to have that too, a level of trust for your players. Chet, I believe, is going to punish Turner.
I somehow disagree with that. I do. I think Miles Turner is probably underrated. Well, maybe not even underrated, but he's a good defender, man. Like he's not a slouch on the defensive end.
He's not a slouch, no. But when you look at like Cat was giving fits.
Now, Cat is a different animal than Chet Holmgren. All right, I think that Cat is just able to do a lot more on the offensive end, not defensive end. I think Chet Holmgren is better defensively, but Cat is better than Chet Holmgren offensively, and it's just he's hard to deal with for anybody. He's a load for anybody. Pause. So I think that's just let's be honest about it.
No, and that's real.
Chet and Cat are not the same player.
No, but if I was playing the Pacers, if I'm OKC and I'm playing the Pacers, I am purposely picking on Miles Turner.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I feel like that's your wink link.
I disagree with that. I think maybe your weakest. It actually defensively, it may actually be either Halliburton or who's playing 2 guard for Indiana? I forget his name is slipped.
Was it McConnell?
No, it's not. McConnell's off the bench. No, it's Nembhard.
Nembhard.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the reason I say that is this too, because if you got Miles Turner in foul trouble, who's backing up Miles again?
Oh, who's that? Maybe what? Obi Toppin, who played really well in this closeout game, by the way. Shout out to Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin did play very well, but do you
defensively,
he had 3 blocks in the last game, right, which he normally doesn't get in.
Man, shout out to Obi Toppin.
Do you want Obi playing against Chet?
I'm not mad at it. I'm not, because Obi. Listen, man. I don't know if you saw it, if you was watching the same. Obi Toppin can do all things through Christ. Shout out to Obi Toppin, right? And I don't know if it was because he was playing versus the Knicks, his former team, or what it was. But
I think it was former team juice.
You know what I mean?
I think they traded him. It's been a couple of years, but I think he still had a chip on his shoulder from that. But even still, Obi, as athletic as he is, you can't teach Chet's type of height. You can't teach throwing the ball over Obi and letting Chet do what he wants to do because Chet's got that height.
Maybe we'll see, but I think it's going to be a really exciting series and probably a better series. It's going at least 6 or 7. But I'll tell you who else has a chip on their shoulder.
Who is it?
And that's Robert Griffin III. All right. That's who else has a chip on the shoulder right now.
There we go.
Because he's been in the news.
Shout out Ryan Clark.
He's been in the headlines. Yeah, he's been chatting back and forth with your boy Ryan Clark, who used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to the Steelers.
Shout out.
And another guy has recently chimed in on a Dr. Umar. So it seems like RG3 is in a tussle with Ryan Clark. And also, we're going to throw Dr. Umar in there. How are we feeling about this situation, man? This is craziness right now. What's going on?
Man, it's tough.
I better not find out your ass was swimming in the milk. If I find out your ass was swimming in the milk, I'm going to lose a lot of respect for you.
Man, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I'm with Ryan Clark on this one. I am. I just am. And for 2 reasons. One, because even if you weren't dating white women and or marrying white women as an African-American man, as an African-American athlete, still, you didn't have to put Reese out there like that. It wasn't a reason for that, you know? And to do it, as they say, in mixed company, was kind of sly, if you ask me, and off-brand.
Yeah, it's like, man, Robert, you got to read the room, dog. I think that's the big thing that you're missing here, man. You just got to, it's you. It's because it's you and it's because of your history that this is an issue. Yeah, I think you just got to do a better job, man, of just reading the room and understanding the situation. And there's just no need, man. And I agree with Dr. Umar, when he says that, there's just no need to tear this 23-year-old sister down, man. And you just didn't have to.
She's a young girl. She's still trying to get her feet, wet in the league. I think she's been doing a fantastic job. Now, I do have my criticisms of Reese, but those stop on the floor,
Keep the basketball.
And I think that RG just kind of, went beyond the floor. And I always feel that there's really no reason for that. Everybody has their own issues when they clock out of work. But when you're at work, it's about the job.
I agree. 100% agree. It's like we don't, and I agree with RG3 when it comes to that. There's no need to bring people's families into situations, which I don't think Ryan Clark did. He wasn't talking bad negatively about anybody, your wife or wives or whatever.
No, but it is something to point out as it comes from a culture standpoint. Well, we know how we feel about that. And, if you want to bring a white woman to the cookout, okay. Well, you know what I mean? It's all your decision. You feel me? But everybody knows there's rules to that. You know what I mean? And we can't act like it's not. And everybody knows there's rules that you assume when you choose to do that. It's not just rules for the white girls, rules for you too when you choose to do it that way. And we can't act like it's not.
Yeah, it's like if you are going to choose that route, you have to keep your mouth off of other races of women. We'll just put it like that.
Let's be blunt. Keep your mouth off the sisters.
Yeah.
That's just real.
That's just real.
You gave that up, willingly. You know what I mean? And that's fine. Again, that's what you wanted to do. That's cool. However, it sullies your position. It waters down your position when you take that high horse space and, just kind of tinkle on the ladies. We can't have that. That's just kind of wild behavior. And as a culture who's definitely trying to solidify, especially in Trump's America, there is no space for that.
Yeah, you got to check yourself, Robert, man. You're in the wrong, big dog. All right. Another person who's in the wrong recently, let's talk about it. It's just a lot of stuff going on right now.
It's crazy.
Man, the world is just full of just freak-offs and all type of stuff that's going on.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life But sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
Oh. Let's talk about it.
I had to put on my freak off music. Did they get your shoulders rolling? But I'm gonna do it again.
Let's do it.
Diddy freak off music. It just made your shoulders roll, don't it? It's crazy. Have you been paying attention to the case?
Man, a little bit, man. I hadn't really dived in, but I've heard about some of the freak off things that have been going on. Let's talk about it, man. Let's bring it out. What's been going on?
Diddy has been called a Marvel supervillain. Apparently he has peed on several people. The baby oil apparently was not laced with anything.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
So when the case originally came out, there were speculations that the several bottles of baby oil that were found in Diddy's establishment when he got raided was laced with some sort of psychoactive drug. Apparently, as the case has been going on, it has come to light that it may not have been laced. It is simply he liked a slick time.
It's understandable. Some of us we like a slick time, so I can't. It's like well let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Like, I don't think it's a criminal offense to be a freaky person.
No, it's not. But if your freak level, if you so freaky that the FBI got involved, you know what I mean? Like,
well, be right, because apparently I did hear that he had Cassie doing some unholy things. We'll just put it there. Yeah, he had her involved in some wild behavior. He was involved in these potential sex workers were involved in some pretty lewd acts and different things going on with bodily fluids and whatnot.
Right. And did you notice I ain't homophobic cause my stick got a dick but only hit men, so my weapon gay.
So, and again, like very freaky and unusual things, but
does that make you
a criminal?
Does that make you a criminal? You know, everybody's got their own spice behind closed doors.
Was he holding Cassie against her will? Was she truly being forced to do these things?
I think this. And you know, our love to all SA survivors. You know, we want no disrespect in any way, shape, or form. I also think that when you are in, and we've seen this several times, ladies or men being in abusive relationships, and people look from the outside, like people have been looking from the outside and was like, why didn't Cassie just leave? They showed the tape. the tape in the hotel where he snatched her down.
Yeah, I do. I recall seeing that.
Yeah, that's why. Because regardless of what's going on, there are, even in abuse, there are good days, there are bad days. But at the end of the day, when an individual, and reportedly, of course, when an individual is controlling your life in that manner, like apparently she was controlling her whereabouts, he was controlling her finances. He was apparently he was, you know, very, very jealous about other men being in her life for any reason. When an individual is working like that, the concept of getting away from someone who is all encompassed in your life like that and has the ability to shut you down in different capacities, yeah, you would think I should get away, but how much is it going to cost you? And for Cassie, I think it was a really big question about how much it was going to cost her.
Well, it's going to cost her everything. I mean, obviously, but I don't want to paint the picture as if, no, Diddy's wrong. I do believe that he's probably involved in some things he probably shouldn't have been doing. Let's just be honest about it.
However, it does sound like he may beat this case.
And I think it's because of what we're talking about right now. And then part of it also is because I tend to believe that Cassie was somewhat implicit in some of these things, right? And she was in agreement with some of the things that were going on, almost that she even wanted some of the things that were going on, and some of the reports and some of the things that have come out recently.
I don't know, bro. That's tough. Like, have you ever seen Handmaid's Tale?
I have not.
So the whole concept is about being a part of a country or a regime that is very oppressive, and especially towards women. The psychological space that you're in when you're being taken advantage of like that, in a space that caters to that, the bubble that you're in mentally, it dissuades you from leaving. It dissuades you from finding another path, if for anything else, retribution. And apparently Diddy was really good at retribution.
And I can see that. And I can see that. He definitely seems like he has that type of, I don't know for sure, but it seems like he has that type of personality. But I will say this, one report that I did see is that the man who actually found Cassie and put her on, like developed her music and all that, I think his name was maybe Ryan Leslie. Okay. Something like that.
Long time executive.
Yeah. And so that was the man that she was originally with. And she cheated on this man with, guess who?
Was it the Diddler?
It was the Diddler. Right?
There's a clip out there. We're going to find it. The Diddler. I need to find it.
She cheated on this man. I just watched The Dark Knight Rises too. Wonderful movie.
That's wild.
But she cheated on this man with the Diddler, left him, for Diddy. And I don't know. It's just a part of me feels that she has to take accountability for something.
It's Diddy. It's probably Diddy before, because the other part of how abusers work in that space is they're all smiles, they're all giggles. They are the prototypical fantastic man until they hook you. And then once they've hooked you, once you are wrapped into the lifestyle, once you are dependent, now it could be crazy.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how it goes. For most of us, your true colors come out after a while. Whoever you are, whether that be good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
So, but there's no denying that Cassie has had a tough way to go.
What do you think about the impact of Diddy as far as hip hop, though?
It's undeniable.
It's undeniable. You can hardly listen to anything that came out of the 90s or early 2000s without hearing Diddy's voice. He's a curator of the culture.
I think what's happening to Diddy right now is kind of the same thing that happened to R. Kelly, right? So now there's going to be in a certain sense.
Do you still play R. Kelly's music?
That's the point I'm getting to.
You can't not play Diddy.
I'm still gonna listen to I Believe I Can Fly. I don't care what anybody says. I'm still gonna play it. And I'm also gonna still listen to More Money, More Problems.
That's real.
I just am. Right? I'm still gonna listen to some of these iconic tracks because I can compartmentalize, right? Everybody's got, let's be honest about it.
When you listen to I Need a Girl,
I will still listen to
Does it sound a little creepy now?
No, I'm not gonna lie. When you listen to Seems Like You're Ready, I can't listen to that one.
You can, because in the back of your head, it's like, how old are you?
How old are you? You know what I mean?
You're ready, but how old are you?
You know what I mean?
Did you just get finished watching Kim Possible?
You know what I mean?
That's the case.
Are you 13 and a half? Like it's tough. But I think so the same thing that's happened in Diddy is probably, what happened to R. Kelly. It's like we're probably still gonna play his music, but you just kind of have to separate, because I tend to believe and think that, everybody's done something that they're not proud of, whether you've gotten caught or not.
But
others to certain degrees.
When people say that, they say that in reference to stealing a candy bar from the grocery store. Everybody's done something they're not proud of.
Everybody's got more skeletons than that.
And I'm telling you. And Kid Cudi called him a supervillain. Said he was in his house when he got there.
Oh, you mean the same dude that was walking around in a dress?
Kid Cudi.
That Kid Cudi?
Kid Cudi.
I don't want to hear nothing Kid Cudi got to say.
What?
Because he walking around wearing a dress, man.
So does that mean that Kid Cudi says he got a call that Diddy was in his house, and he's like, why are you in my house? Diddy had walked in, opened up some of the Christmas presents that he had for his family. He put his dog in the bathroom, and when he walked in, Diddy was facing the window with his hands behind his back like Thanos. Who deserves that, dress or not?
No, I'm not gonna lie. He need to go to jail for that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So he probably does need to at least do a couple months for that alone.
And apparently was responsible for blowing up Cuddy's car in response to Cuddy and Cassie dating on the low.
Yeah, that's mob boss. That's terrible behavior.
That's terrible behavior.
So yeah, no, he's and again, I liken this to R. Kelly. R. Kelly probably he did something they said he did. He just did. You can't tell me that he just didn't do nothing they said.
But again, most of what we're hearing out of the Diddy case is him being somewhat of a deplorable human being. And not necessarily breaking too many laws outside of being.
If you're blowing up cars and breaking into people's houses, that's breaking a law.
There's a few. But in the past couple of weeks, they're trying to prove a racketeering case. They're trying to prove human trafficking.
Well, we'll see. We'll see as more information comes out. I just know that this is one of the craziest high profile.
It's wild. Cases. I am waiting for the Lifetime movie or the real life like Hulu or Netflix edition. Who do you think could play Diddy in a movie?
Oh man, that's a good question. Who could play Diddy, the supervillain?
Denzel's boy. Denzel. You talking about Denzel Washington's boy?
I'm talking about Denzel.
Denzel.
Denzel could play Diddy.
Play Diddy.
You talking about John David Washington?
I am. I'm talking about John David.
What? That's probably a better. That's really
for the age.
Yeah.
For the age.
No. But no, I think Diddy's probably older, right?
Diddy is older, but if you want a young Diddy,
I think he would be perfect. You think he would do it?
I think it would be hilarious.
I don't think he would do it.
But I feel like John Davis a little bit cool, a little bit too cool to be Diddy, because Diddy has that space where he just gets irate. Like, who's going to do that scene where he makes the band go get the cheesecake? Is John David going to do that?
Yeah, he might, but that's actually not a bad, I would watch that.
I would watch that.
But John David Washington?
Because the life story of Diddy also has a banging ass soundtrack.
Oh, for sure.
Think about it.
Bad Boy, baby.
Bad Boy. Through the whole thing. Through the whole thing.
Oh, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was our episode. We thank you. We thank you for tuning in. This was fantastic. You're going to have to come back and see us again. Like, listen, subscribe, share, because we are beaming back into your TV very soon, ladies and gentlemen. I have been Professor X, and this is the wonderful man, Dava. And this is the Unprofessional Critics, ladies and gentlemen. Come back and see us.
Peace out.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
You are now destined to become indulged into the greatest podcast in existence. You have now been given access to excellence with the greatest opinion on all things culture. Like, follow, and subscribe to the Unprofessional Critics podcast. God listens to our podcast, so should you. You're welcome.
Oh my God.